I made the comparison. David Price doesn't want to play because it's not his team, it's not his community, it's not his franchise. He's already got a championship. He's made plenty of money. He is concerned about Corona. There's a million reasons that David Price has chosen to not play, whereas LeBron James is all in. And the reason LeBron James is all in, he got plenty of money. He got championships. He's already a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest of all time. But I made the argument that he's not an all-time Laker legend. And the reason that LeBron really wants to finish this thing off and the reason that he really wants to win a championship this year, this is the year Kobe died. I mean, I read that whole report this past weekend in the LA Times about the communication and when they could no longer communicate with the helicopter and the pilot and the pilot ultimately, according to the reports, he got disoriented with raising the helicopter through the clouds, and instead of raising it, he actually lowered it because he was all disoriented. So very much human error in weather that he shouldn't have been flying in. So I read all of that, and my argument is that Price, it's not his team, and it's way late in the year already, and he's still got more money to make on the back end of his contract. But this is LeBron's year because this is the year that Kobe died. This is where you become a Laker legend. That was my argument today. Just you guys give me some feedback. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I a moron? Was it a dumb take? Let me have it, Browner.
I think David doesn't want to play because David Price is a swirly character. He's not a David Price. I've never been a fan of David Price. I know this is a shocker to some people, but I think David Price is more of the selfish athlete, and he's not playing because he doesn't want to play. He doesn't necessarily care. He didn't like the Red Sox, the fans in Tampa, and I'm pretty sure he didn't like the fans in LA either. So I don't really know what he is personally, seeing him more to Kyrie Irving than I do LeBron James to begin with. So I think your point is on. I think you're in the right arena on the whether who needs to play, who doesn't. LeBron has to play because if he doesn't win another championship, no one's going to talk about him as being the greatest player ever. That's going to start that balloon in a lot of air, and he can't afford to not play.
How many guys are in David Price's position? Not that many, where you have a giant contract that you're going to get paid no matter what because it's baseball. And then you get traded to a World Series contending team, but they didn't want you. Not only did they not want you, they're making the Red Sox pay for half your salary. So he's kind of like the guy that the Dodgers didn't want. So he's almost kind of like, you know what? Y'all don't really want me. I don't need the money. Why do I have to go through it? Here you go. I'm going to pitch 5 times this year or whatever, 10 times this year in a 30 games, 60 game schedule. Like, why am I really going to go out and like make that much of a difference? I see David Price's point and why it's easy to tap out. And I always go back to the point that the NBA is in the middle of it. So whether it's going to be like a legitimate championship, well, it doesn't matter. The sense is that they are in the middle of a season. So it's hard for guys to tap out right now, especially on the Lakers. That's why it was so ballsy that Avery Bradley did it.
I like what you're saying, though. I do like what you're saying. Like, the NBA's in the middle of it. There's something to finish. Major League Baseball never even started. And I mentioned it, and I've told you guys this before. I got buddies of mine, these are young kids who are trying to scratch and claw their way onto opening day rosters in the major leagues. Those guys will sacrifice. Yeah. Those guys will take the risk, But if you're David Price, you're just not willing to. Not for $12 million.
But it's like risk reward, though, because you could see Trout struggling with it too, man. Like, and I think if Trout had his original contract, if he didn't just sign a $425 million deal, I don't think he would do it. I think there's a lot of guilt in Mike Trout's conscience that he feels like he has to play, even with his wife being pregnant. I really do think that Mike Trout would be not in the game right now.
If you are David Price, how can you watch your team play? Yes, the NBA started picking it up. Yes, baseball did not start their season. When baseball starts playing as an athlete at that level, you made it that far because you wanted it more than the next guy. Yes, you were talented. Yes, you worked hard. But as a pitcher, you have to want it. He wanted it to the point that he became one of the best pitchers in baseball. And now when the season does start, so now it's actually going, I can't believe that a guy would sit on the sideline. I don't care how much money you make. It's what you do. You gave up so much in your regular life growing up to get to the point where you're a Major League Baseball player, and you're not going to play when the season starts? That doesn't make sense. Not a family health concern. If it's just a concern of quote unquote coronavirus, how many guys got it and they tested every player?
Well,
12,
that's what Baselli was saying today. If you heard Tony Baselli today, he's like, look, I would go back and play. I had it and it knocked me on my ass. But look at the numbers, look at the percentages. I mean, you might as well go play. There's football players. I will be very surprised if the NFL goes forward. I'll be awfully surprised if any football players tap out. Baseball players, I've said from the beginning, I don't think they'll play, and that more big names might eventually tap out. And I think basketball is married to this thing no matter what. So that was a big part of the conversation today.